Harry, the first recipe that we prep when we get started doing dinner parties in the afternoon is the bread, because of course that takes a little bit of time to stir it up, let it proof, and get it in the oven. So today we're making our most popular bread, which is our fresh rosemary focaccia bread. And focaccia is a great bread recipe because you really just stir it up. It doesn't require any kneading. You stir it, proof it once, shape it into the pan, proof it again, and it's ready to go in the oven. There's really only about 10 minutes prep time to this where you're actually hands-on. The rest of it, the yeast is doing the work for you, and so you're good to go. So today we're making a 5-cup batch. We're using 5 cups of all-purpose flour. With that recipe, then we need 1 cup of warm water. This is about 110 degrees. And we need some fresh yeast, which we're using a dried yeast, of course. And we use 1 tablespoon or 3 teaspoons of yeast. We sprinkle that into the warm water to soften the yeast up and get it started activating. And then we have 1 cup of milk. So our base recipe for this focaccia is 5 cups of dry, 5 cups of flour, 2 cups of liquid. Today it's 1 cup of warm water, 1 cup of milk, and then this recipe calls for a tablespoon of salt in the recipe, and we have freshly chopped fresh rosemary, and it always smells so great, and so we have a little more rosemary to chop in here, and we sprinkle this in the mix as we go. So what we're going to do here is stir up the focaccia dough, and then we set it aside to proof, and then we'll later show you how we're going to shape that into the shape we want it for dinner tonight and what we're going to top it with. So we sprinkle in the focaccia, so we have the flour, the salt, and the rosemary. I guess that wouldn't be focaccia here. And we've got that ready to go. We also have 3 tablespoons of olive oil to go into the liquids, so we put 3 tablespoons of oil into the milk. We add that into the flour. You can see our yeast has already started to percolate here and get started proofing. And so we have the flour, the salt, the fresh rosemary, the water, and the milk and the salt. So we just stir this together. I always think that I have my liquids and dry ingredients in the right mixture when I stir this up, and the sides of the bowl come clean, Harry.
That's when I make it, that's the way it is.
We'll see if it works that way on TV today here. It's looking pretty good. Okay, as you can see, it has absorbed up all of the dry and the liquid together. And as we stir it about 12 times to bring it around here, it turns into a nice dough ball. Okay, and there you have focaccia dough. Now we're going to wrap this with cellophane and set it aside, and it will double in size. That's what we call proofing the bread. But guess what, kids? That's the hard work, and we're finished. Okay, Harry, we are now ready to turn our focaccia out into the baking pan. As you can see, it's doubled in size from when we put it in here. And so the first thing we're going to do, we're using a 9.5 by 13 baking pan. As you can see, it's been used many a time for this project. And so we've got our rosemary focaccia dough in here. And we just scrape it out of the bowl and drop it down into this oil. And now here is a very important trick to making wonderful focaccia. We butter that up, and we're going to flip that over one time because that gives us a nice coating of oil on the top that's going to make this nice and crispy. And so we kind of just press it out with our fingers and get it pushed out into the pan.
How many of these do you think you've made, Dave?
Well, 1 a day for 16 years, not really, not every day.
That's a lot of bread.
A lot of focaccia, but as you can see, it's a wonderful bread, and it's made fresh. We're sprinkling some, of course, kosher salt on here to give it a little bit of crunch. Now you can see it's nice and bubbled up with oil. Sometimes we shoot just a little bit of olive oil down in some of those pockets. You just drizzle that on there and it makes it wonderful. And then today we're going to top it off with some Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. Okay, that is ready now to proof one more time. This will double up again and almost come to the top of the pan, and then it will be ready to pop in the oven. Okay, our focaccia bread is risen up to the top of the pan. You can see it's nice and fluffy. It's going in an oven of 425 degrees for 28 to 30 minutes till it's golden brown and crispy on the bottom. So here we go. Okay, Harry, here's our first out of the
Oh,
oven
look at that.
dish tonight. This is our focaccia bread. We're just shaking it loose from the pan. You can see the cheese is melted and crispy golden brown. And so we kind of just shake this loose so we can get it. And we want to get this out on a wire rack as quick as it comes out of the oven, because if we leave it in the pan, the bottom will get soggy, and we don't want that going on. So, okay. We're coming out of the pan right now in two pieces. And isn't that the way it goes? All right. There we have rosemary focaccia bread.